the hunting introverts. So if you're looking for people to talk to, being an introverted person, I know what they look like. I know where they are. So they're going to be around the edges, and they're most likely going to do that phone thing that we talked about. They're going to be messing with their phone, or they're just going to look really awkward and out of place, but they're going to be around the edges. They're not going to be in the middle. Yeah, everybody raise the roof and none of that stuff. It's going to be on the edges, and they're looking to be rescued. They want to be rescued. So you can go and open up any of these people very easily. Just walk over. You're at the advantage because you're the hunter. You're hunting these introverts, and you don't have to. You can be introverted and do it, or if you're not introverted, you're still hunting introverts because they're there, and you're gonna try to talk to somebody. So these people are the perfect ones. So you just walk over and engage, and they'll go, oh, and they're going to be happy that okay, now I have somebody to talk to. And so you can talk to them if they have the phone. Once again, you can talk about, hey, what's that? What are the Kardashians up to? What's Bitcoin doing? Whatever it is that you think is going to be. I like to go in with humor, and so you're not like, seriously, what are the Kardashians doing? No, you're
Which, depending on who you're talking to, sure, right, could be humorous enough.
Yeah, you're having fun with it, and mentioning something that they're probably not actually looking up, like you know hey, checking out the prices of wheat in the Soviet Union or something. They're like, what are you, like, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, my name's Nick. I came to shake some hands, and we'll get
You're
into.
almost a savior in a sense. You're almost like their savior, where you kind of like release them from this awkward, socially unstable environment where you go over and you're kind of taking them out, and you're giving them kind of a connection and a way out as well. So
Yes, and that's happened to me. I was walking in a
you've been
event,
hunted.
and yes, I've been hunted. There's a husband and wife, and they just grabbed me. I was walking through a seated area, and then they said, hey, come here, come sit with us. And then I went and sat down. They said, we saw you walking in. We said, we're gonna rescue this guy. We're gonna save this guy. And I said, oh, what? Apparently I wasn't doing the cape walk or anything. Apparently I looked like I needed rescuing, and it worked. So I said, I'm going to start doing this to people. I'm going to see people that are walking that don't look like they're walking with purpose, and just grab them. Hey, come over here. Come talk.
Yeah, sure.
Come stand next to me. So when I meet people that are very shy or whatever, they go, hey, I don't know what to do. Then I just say, just stand next to me. That's it. That's your whole job. You don't have to say anything. Just stand right here. And they do. They're just there. And yeah, I take it from there. But we're going to get into the magic of three. And a lot of people, no one ever thinks about this. I talk about this all the time. And then people go, I never thought about it. And so I think that if you can get a group of three, that is the ultimate for having conversations. Naturally, one-on-ones are very good, but when you're first meeting people, if you meet someone and then after a little while you're like, I need to go, then it's kind of, you're like, okay, I'm going to abandon you now and just leave you
Yeah.
out here to the wolves while I go do something else. It's easier if you have three. What happens is the conversation can be carried a lot easier because you'll be talking, and then if it starts
Bounce
slowing
off.
down, yeah, somebody will be able to have that, throw in some input, keep the conversation flowing. If there's three, if there's four, there's always going to be one person that is just silent, just standing there doing nothing, no input. Whenever there's four, there's always somebody that is not, unless it's like two couples and like the wives are talking and the husbands are talking, but then you're not having a full conversation. But if it's a group conversation and there's four, there's always somebody that is not participating. And I've been
Yeah.
that person that's not participating. And I've also observed and seen there's always somebody that's not. So if you find yourself in the four, then you can leave them and then go make another three. Or if you have the three and you decide, hey, I would like to start a different conversation with some different people. It's easier to leave because you just say, excuse me, and those two people, you didn't just abandon someone by themselves. Those two people will continue to talk, and then you can go off, and it's easier to exit. And so
Sure.
uh, always shoot for that three. So like if I'm hunting introverts, I'll find the one. And so if it's a husband and wife couple, they're tired of talking to each other anyway. So if I walk up, now we got our three and we're good there with that three. Or if it's a single person, I can walk up, start talking to them. And then while I'm talking to them, I'm still kind of scanning and seeing people drift by. And if someone needs, I'll tell that person, hey, let's rescue this person. Now grab that person, bring them. Now we have our three. Now we can either enhance this conversation, or I can leave when I feel I need to leave and go meet other people. And those two, they will stay there the whole evening. They'll still be right there talking. And I can
Yeah.
also join those two because they're not going to go back to standing by themselves. They are going to stick in that little group. And so this has been a really good thing. If you consciously, because a lot of times you'll unconsciously fall into this, but if you actually go out of your way to try to either get in these groups of three, once it gets to 4 or 5, and then you bail, and then you go make a new group of three, you'll see that it's really efficient, and it's a really good way to keep conversations going or to be able to maneuver and leave when you can. What 2 cents do you got?
Yeah. So I just made a note. So one of the interesting things here that you mentioned is you were hunting introverts, right? So here, give me 1 second. Let me finalize this real quick. All right. So sorry, just that came. So you were saying that you were hunting introverts, right? And I was thinking to myself, why would you do that? Why would you want to hunt introverts? What's the benefits and what's the challenges of doing that? And I know we moved on to like the magic of three, but it ties exactly perfect to itself, right? It's like, well, why would you hunt introverts? Well, so you have that power of three. That's one of the benefits. And I know like when if you just look at your book, which I love to have your book here. It's so great just to be able to have it. So we have your book. Boom, there it is. An Introvert's Guide to World Domination. Become a high-level networker and upgrade your life. So if I were to look at this book and I were to read through it, how I built a high-level, close international network of friends, colleagues, and associates. So I'm reading it and I'm not exactly sure, okay, so do I have to go and be a part of Cartier or, go and ride private jets? Or do I just want to learn how to play polo? Or I just want to like meet with some people?
Right.
I don't know, but some people, I think, from reading through some of the Amazon, there's a couple of people, specifically some of the reviews that say, what if I don't want to be, friends with millionaires or anything, or with billionaires or something like that. Well,
Right.
that's not what your book is about. It's very clear on building your network. It doesn't say anything about making more money. Now, maybe that will happen as a part of this.
Right.
I know specifically in the real estate realm, it definitely has the grand potential and opportunity to do that. But when you're hunting those introverts or those people that might not have that billionaire status or something, you're not portraying selling this to those billionaires or becoming these billionaire friends or connections. So you're trying to just have a bigger network of people and meet interesting people and go out and learn new things. So I think that's really important to put out, and that's good information here. So I was going to ask you almost, why is it important to hunt introverts? And you really just kind of answered that, and you kind of just talked about it for a few minutes there. Um, but the magic of three, like you were saying, I think anybody has that feeling when you're having like a one-on-one with somebody, unless it's just passionately intriguing and something that you've just been dying to talk to this person about, and there's just so much chemistry, man, woman, doesn't matter. you know at a certain point you get to a conversation where you're like, okay, well, I'm going to head over here, and you start seeing the feet kind of start angling away or whatever, and you don't know how to like make that break.
Right.
But with a third person, even if you meet up to go with the guys out to go have a, go have a meal and a drink or something, it's always better just to have that third party. So like you're saying, you can share experiences from multiple sides, and you can have like an engaging conversation with people, and it'll be that much more interesting. So if you do have to get up and go to the bathroom, or you have to do whatever, you're not the only one just having this direct, you know, communication in between the individuals. So, um, and that's kind of what hunting an introvert. You're gonna save them. You're gonna get somebody to talk to. You can go out. You can go up as a group to somebody, almost as your plus one. So, um, thinking of why I would hunt introverts kind of answered it right there.
Right. These people, they're also there. So at this event, just because they're introverted doesn't mean they're not interesting to talk to. A lot of introverts are very
Yep.
interesting to talk to. And once again, if you're trying to meet people, make connections, these could be some of those most valuable connections you could have, but you have to go and seek them out. You have to actually go up and engage them to actually make that connection and listen to them. And maybe you'll find, wow, I'm glad that I walked up and talked to this person. And then other people you might say, huh, maybe I shouldn't be talking to this person. But the only way you know is by actually going up and engaging them. And so if you're looking for someone to talk to, I find that it's much easier just to go hunting introverts than it is to find the loudest person in the middle of the room that's like, hey everybody, here's what's going on, and then trying to engage that person. Usually it's much easier to instead of the person that's holding court in the middle of the room that's like the life of the party, it's much easier to work the outskirts. And then a lot of times some of those people will know the other people and they'll introduce you. So just because they're sitting on the side doesn't mean they're not well connected themselves. They just, their ability to socialize is a little bit less, just like yours might be. You might be one of those side people, just like I am. But when I'm there on the side, I say, okay, there's something I can do, and I can assert myself by talking to these other introverts on the side. And I know that they'll be happy that I stepped up. I could just sit there with my Duke cookie face and say, somebody will come up eventually and talk to me. Or, and I, so you don't have to talk to anybody. You're trying to meet that one connection, but you don't have to do it. You can sit there and just look approachable with your Duke cookie face and say, sooner or later, somebody's going to come up and talk to me. But it is very easy to say, well, these other people are sitting there waiting for someone to talk to them too. I'm just going to go over there and be the one that kicks it off, and they're going to follow your lead because you're the hunter. You're coming over.
Yep.
Hey, I'm talking to you. You come over here and you're going to talk with us too. And then they'll come over, and yeah, it forms like a little light bond, and that's how you get to know people. That's how contacts and friendships are formed. And for real estate, maybe somebody knows something that you might need to know, and you're only going to know by actually engaging and talking to those people. And even if you don't have all the right questions to ask, that's the glory of that three-person system, is maybe that other person, the third person, maybe they'll ask a question that you didn't even think of that opens up a whole other conversation possibility.
Yeah, certainly. No, I think I think those are all great and valid points. And I think also at these events, you and I have been to many events, and I feel so as you kind of went over a few different people or personas inside these events. You have the people on the corner, you have the people in the middle, you have the speaker, you have the host. There's all sorts of different people. And within those people and those groups and those cliques and those gangs, as you said earlier, there's also difference in energy levels, right? So with you or I, well, maybe not you, but like a typical kind of, I would say like mid-level introvert. If I'm in the group, I just kind of want to like hang out, and I don't want to be necessarily the introvert, but I just kind of want to be just like a guy that's in the room. Well, I have a certain energy about me that I'm not going up to the peacock in the room and trying to have a conversation,
Right.
because I think that's a big energy gap. I like to think of it as an energy gap. And if you go and have a conversation, this guy's like all about doing this and going over here. And it may be fascinating to see, but that energy gap makes it a little more difficult to connect on all of these different levels. But
Right.
if you go over and you try to connect with the introvert, you're bridging and you're narrowing that energy gap between where you're at from like a mid-level person to like a lower energy level of, going over. So you're narrowing that gap, and you can kind of bring somebody up to your level, or you can go down or meet them in the middle. And I think that that's also important aspect to think about when you're in these things is, where is the energy at in this room? Like you said, plus one up of the energy of the room,
Yeah.
and then go in and just try to always have it a little bit optimum from where it's at.
Right.
So
Because I think that people enjoy talking to somebody that if you do that one level up, I think that people enjoy talking to you better than if you went one level down or something. You're like, oh, hey, what's going on? If I'm like, hey, how are you? Then you're like, oh, okay, I think it kind of helps bring people into it a
yeah,
little bit better.
positivity.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all spoken. I'm sure we've all spoken to. We all know that one individual that every time we're with him or her, we go into a setting or we're having a conversation there, and it's almost like, what do I even talk about with this person? Because they're kind of so, either we can call it even keel, or we can say kind of lower energy, a step down, and it's almost like you have to like pull things out of them, right?
Right.
Where you just like, it's almost work to have this conversation, instead of like pinging things off of each other. Like, what do you think? Oh, it's okay. Oh, what did you do over here? Oh, not much. It's like, okay, okay, Eeyore. Let's go and find Tigger and go see if we can have more of an engaging conversation.
Right. And yeah, if you have that third person, then maybe, the two will start, and then the Eeyore person will be like, oh, wait, that reminds me of something. And then you can get something they're passionate about, and then be like, okay, we finally got it out of you. Let's hear it. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like the yeah, I can relate a lot of things to, Winnie the Pooh. There's this book called The Tao of Pooh, and it kind of goes into like how all these different personalities and characters all interact with each other. And you're right on point, man. And just like with this whole, like the power of three, it's just with the difference in characters, and there's always going to be something that somebody sees and somebody else that can pull something out. And it's just it's engaging in a way that is a great number. So what do you think? Do you think there's a difference between, because you said you explained 3 and 4, but what about 4 and 5? Do you think that is already like after 3, it's like no longer valid, or do you think at 5 then you need to have two separate groups of 6 or something?
Well, so
Excuse me, of 3.
yeah, I think it has to break out, because kind of like the 4, if there's 4, there's going to be one person that's just silent sitting there. If it's 5, then usually there's the conversation with the 3, and then 2 will be having a separate conversation over on the side. And I've seen it where there might be, 6 or 7 people, and they're all kind of in a circle, but one person is talking, and so it's not a conversation. It's a monologue. It's just one person talking, and then everyone's just sitting there nodding or doing
Looking
whatever.
at this soapbox.
Yes. So you could be, if you just want to hear, somebody has some hot tips on something, and then everyone just like, yes, we want to hear about it. And then, but that's not the conversation. You're not really bonding and connecting. That's just one person spouting off and everybody sitting there listening. But if you actually want to have the conversation dynamic, then 3. It's 3, and then if it's more, once you get it rolling, then sure, you can do the one-on-one. Once you actually have established, yeah, I would like to talk more with this one person, then yeah, then you can sit there and just do the one-on-one, and that's fine. Once you actually, so when you're first meeting people, 3 is much easier. But then after you've met somebody, then yeah, you can do the one-on-one, because now you actually decided, oh yeah, I have more questions for you, just like back when you and I first met. After we got all that initial stuff out of the way, then it's like, oh, hey, Shane. And then we don't need the 3, because we can keep the conversation going with just us 2, because we've established we both have enough similar interests that we can carry it without any issues. But if
Yeah. And you've built that know, like, and trust as well. Like, kind of getting back to the ultimate purpose of all of this of like meeting people and getting known and having those introductions. You want to be able to have that rapport built, that know, like, and trust factor.
Right.
And just having these multiple angles really helps with building that.
Right.